So I just finished watching Project Hail Mary, and can I just say that movie has got to be the greatest cinematic masterpiece I've seen in recent memory. And Rocky's the cutest character I've seen since Wall-E. So cute, in fact, that I've decided to build him as a robot. This would have been relatively straightforward, if not for the fact that I have a flight to college in 2 weeks. A little bit of a time constraint, but we could probably figure it out. Now, Rocky has this very animated way of moving and talking. The talking is more software, we'll deal with that in a minute, but regarding the physical motion, I don't have a lot of experience making quadruped, like crab-like creatures, so this is definitely going to be a bit of a challenge. I went through a few iterations of designs. I tried linear actuators first. I also went through some sort of line pulley design. The design I eventually settled on was using good old classic servo motors, which should be precise enough to get us to the exact locations we want. And when we mean precise, we do mean precise, because he's got joints that move like that, he's got joints that move like this, he's got elbow joints, I think in total it was like 20-something servo motors for every single one of Rocky's joints in his body. My initial design for Rocky was this incredibly complex series of joints. I just generated this 3D environment in Claude real quick. The shoulder was able to articulate like this, which is 1 degree of freedom, and the elbow was also able to articulate. But in addition to the elbow, the shoulder had a 2nd degree of articulation, which would have gave it a lot of expression, but was so complicated. The idea was to have 2 servos, one mounted horizontally and one mounted vertically. The vertical servo moves the top servo back and forth, and the top servo moves back and forth. That gives it 2 degrees of freedom. Now, the legs would actually be significantly simpler, only 1 servo motor per leg. And the way that we would accomplish this is while the arm still remains super complicated, that's where the majority of the expression happens, by bending each leg one at a time in only one area by the knee joint, we could still get him to crouch left, crouch right, whilst getting away with only having one point where a servo is actually needed. However, there is actually this interesting fact that we could simplify this entire project. Because Rocky is asymmetrical, one of his arms kind of rotates like this, the other one rotates sideways, we could get away with only putting 1 servo motor per shoulder and still get a lot of expression. So I purchased this 3D model from 3D Totems, shout out to him, and uploaded all the different 3D models to Tinkercad. I immediately faced an issue, which is that they are too big for Tinkercad to handle, so I had to import them into Fusion 360, simplify the STLs, basically reducing the amount of vertices each STL has. That looks pretty good. And we're pretty much ready to start 3D modeling, but first I'd like to take a quick second to thank the sponsor of this video, PCBWay. They got CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, injection molding, obviously PCB assembly. They got a huge module store full of literally anything you could ever need, anything Arduino related, anything mechatronic related really, and just a whole bunch of tools that are super helpful to use. If any of that interests you, make sure to check them out at PCBWay.com. And so began my long and arduous process of 3D modeling. Trust me, it was significantly more detailed than this little montage I have going on here. I don't even know why it was so difficult, but I had to go through like a billion iterations of 3D models. Here's just a taste of some of the files about that. One of the primary reasons it was so difficult is this little freaking leg joint here. I had to make this little area for the leg to be able to articulate back and forth into, and the space for the servo. That was just incredibly difficult. Also, Tinkercad isn't the most, user-friendly UI, so in order to split something in half, you have to make holes and stuff. But pretty soon we were ready for 3D printing. I immediately ran into another issue, which is that I wanted to print face down like this, but I have kind of color-changing filament, so I don't have to paint Rocky when I'm done. But the issue is that builds up layer by layer as it unrolls. So if that were the case, if I were to build face down it would basically be the top layer is all one color. But this was pretty easy to solve. I just needed to print it vertically, at least mostly, and that kind of, seemed to do the trick. Hope you enjoyed that little 3D printing montage. Now that our prints are ready, it's just time to prepare them pretty much for assembly. It's just a matter of removing the supports. And here we have our beautiful, clean 3D prints. We got the 2 holes for the servos. Speaking of the electronics, let's get to work on that. We'll start with our Raspberry Pi 5 4GB model. This will be the brains of Rocky. Came with a nice little case with a fan. Oop. And obviously the power supply. We'll just plug the SD card into our computer and flash Raspberry Pi OS. Connect the heatsink to the Raspberry Pi. And connect the fan to the Raspberry Pi as well so it doesn't overheat inside Rocky. Next, we'll set up the Raspberry Pi with all of its IOs. So we'll need a screen, keyboard, mouse, all that good stuff. And we'll just boot up and update the Raspberry Pi settings. Now, I've made a pretty interesting strategic decision for this project specifically. Usually the programming takes up a massive chunk of the engineering time. So what I've decided is I'm going to install Claude onto this Raspberry Pi through a CLI, and Claude will take care of all the programming for us. So here we have Claude inside the Raspberry Pi. This is regular Claude, like the LLM version. You could ask it hey Claude, how are you doing? And it will respond, I'm good, how are you? And we could ask it any question we want. So here we're going to use our go-to question at this point, what is Project Hail Mary? And it should respond, there we go, Project Hail Mary is a 2021 sci-fi novel by Andrew Mayer, blah, 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 blah. You get the point. The next step is pretty much to instruct Claude on what the project is and what we need. So we're going to need a ChatGPT or some other AI to represent Rocky, and that guy's going to have to go to a TTS, which is text-to-speech. It's all pretty complicated, but Claude should take care of the bulk of it for us. So here we have the prompt that will give the AI that should respond like Rocky. So we're basically just telling it, speak how Rocky speaks in the movie, ask any question with the word question, all that good stuff. Hey Rocky, what's up?
Friend, hello. I am good. You look peaceful? Question. What is your news, friend? Question.
I'm good. What do you think of the Artemis launch?
Artemis launch? Question. I not know this thing. Humans go space more? Question. Good push. Happy.
The servos we're going to use for Rocky are these MG996R servos, specifically these because they have a metal inside. And the way that we're going to communicate with these servos is with something called tool calling, where basically the AI, in addition to giving a response that sounds like Rocky, also gives an action it thinks Rocky should give in that context. So we don't have to program any expressions at all. Now let's get to the very little hardware, in quotation marks, actually needed for this project. We'll be using this PCA9685 hat, and we'll just wire some additional power to that hat because the power supply from the Raspberry Pi can't power up 7 servos at once. So it's basically just a matter of stripping these wires that lead to the Raspberry Pi hat, connecting them to this area, which feeds the additional power from the power supply. And the other end will connect to a barrel jack, which will then be able to plug into the wall, and that will be our main source of power. Now we'll just connect all the individual servo motors to the PCA board. We'll add some extension cords later, but this is just for testing purposes. And plug the hat onto the Raspberry Pi. And now it's finally time for the actual assembly. Yes, we're using hot glue for at least this joint, which is just the servos that connect to the shoulders of Rocky's torso. For the legs, we'll scuff up the edges so the glue has a better area to bond with. And for the joints that are under a lot of pressure, for those we'll use super glue. Connect the legs just like so. And pretty much here we have the full assembled Rocky robot. It's not perfect yet. First of all, we need to add the extension cable, so we'll just use male to female jumper wires for this. And here we have pretty much the finished Rocky. I did want to run a couple tests with Claude first, just to make sure it knows where the arms are, so it doesn't accidentally rip off one of its shoulders or something. This took quite a lot of testing, actually. This is just, again, a quick montage of it, but it did fall over, like you can see, a bunch of times. But eventually, we did actually get it to balance by itself. Here's our first test of everything put together. We have the Rocky body, we have those 7 servos connected to that controller, and to our AI with function calling. So what should happen is while Gemini is responding to the prompt like Rocky would, like with the speaking as well, he also moves the robot how he thinks he should within the parameters we set. So we can tell him to do things that we never pre-programmed. So let's just open up the application here on our Raspberry Pi, execute in terminal. Hey Rocky, how you doing?
Hello, friend. I am good. You are here? Question. Happy. Much happy. How are you? Question. And happy to see you. Talk. Friend?
I'm good. Can you, fist my bump?
Fist bump. Yes, much happy. I see Grace do this. Good, good, good.
So do it. Fist bump. Crap. And the final step is pretty much just to put all the components inside Rocky, and I believe we're pretty much just done this project. Yo, Rocky, fist bump. Hell yeah, dude.
Yes, much happy. We proceed.
Hey, Rocky, can you... Whoa, calm down there, dude. Whoa.
I am calm, friend. Excited, big gestures, yes. My body is happy. You want no movement question? No. Why not life question? I move. Good.
Hey, Rocky, what or who are you?
I am Iridium. You're human. We are friends. Question, what are you? Question?
Hey, Rocky, what movie are you from?
Movie question? What is movie question? I'm not from picture. I'm from arid. Heavy hot place. Great to tell me stories, but movie? I not know. You have movie for friend question? Good.